does Reader's Digest take to ensure the credibility and independence of the trusted brand or portfolio?
That's a very good question. Thanks for that. Well, we haven't actually changed the methodology for years. It's been 25 years. First started with 11 categories, we're up to 50 now. And we actually used an outside research firm called Catalyst, who interviews over 8,000 people in Malaysia to come up with the results for these awards. So we have nothing to do with them, apart from commissioning and paying for them. Right? So they have credibility. No worries.
Next question.
Yeah, I have one. I'd like to ask if Reader's Digest has seen any changes in the types of brands that are being recognized as trusted brands over the years. You've had
Yes, of course.
quite
We
a
do,
long run.
we do, and we have. As I said there yesterday, we only started off with 11, and now I think in this country we have over 50 categories. And things have changed. So, for example, you never had an air fryer 10 years ago, which is quite a competitive category now this year. And also things like since COVID, we've got masks coming in. So that wasn't a category that we had in many of our countries, which is quite important now. So yes, we do adapt, with the ages.
Excuse me, ma'am. What is the demographic profile of Reader's Digest readers and how has this changed over time?
Well, our demographic really hasn't changed over the years. I mean, we are one of the oldest magazines. We're actually 101 years old. We've stood the test of time, not many magazines have. But one of the interesting things about us is we're like a mass magazine of general interest. So everyone in the family can understand the magazine. You don't have to be university educated to understand it or find interesting stories. So it's for children, it's for people in university, it's for your mothers, it's for your grandmothers, it's shared between the family. And it's always been that way and it's stayed the same. So we are generational.
And to add to it, in the Philippines, we have had an emotional bond over the magazine through the years. And as we all know, our grandparents, our aunts and uncles are all have been subscribing for the magazine for the past several years, 100 years already. So we have this bond with this magazine as we grow up through the years.
Still being a magazine for our Reader's Digest adapted to the rise of digital media and what impact has this had on the audience and brand reputation?
Yeah, obviously it's impacted all magazines or newspapers, your media yourself. So you know the impact of the digital age, or even ChatGPT trying to take over our jobs. Yeah, it's true. We've actually started early in digital, in the early 2000s, so we've adapted. So you can get Reader's Digest as an app online, so not only print, you can get the web version, you can get the app version, you can get it on tablet, you can get it on Apple News, you can get it on MSN, and also we've got Facebook, we've got very many social media channels where you can follow us as well. We have newsletters. And I don't just say that because I work with them, I think their newsletters are excellent. They always stop me reading when I get them every day. But the other thing is now is when you subscribe to Reader's Digest, you also get a digital version. So you get a print version sent to your house, so you get two versions, and you get a digital version sent to your house as well.
Question here. Hi. How important is the consumer trust in the success of Reader's Digest as a media company?
How important is consumer trust? Well, I think it's very important, or it wouldn't have lasted this long. The one thing about trusted brands is we're not a pay-to-play policy. So even if some of the brands don't decide to participate or use the logo, they are still announced as winners. They're still on our website. Every year, I look after 7 countries. Every year I've got people phoning me or emailing me asking to be a trusted brand. But you can't. You can't just be one. You have to be voted by the people of that country and that population in order to be one. And so we've kept the same methodology, for years and years now, and so that keeps the credibility and the trust of trusted brands. And I think if it didn't work, people wouldn't be participating every single year, and it wouldn't have the success it still has if we didn't do that.
Thank you.
Hi. What kind of feedback does Reader's Digest
received from the consumers and districts about the Trusted Brand Award in the program?
What sort of feedback
Yeah.
do they feel? Well, I think consumers are very much interested in it. I think this was one of the other questions I have. We actually do an independent retail survey, not at the same time as we do trusted brands, to see what impact the Trustmark emblem, not just the Trustmark emblem of Reader's Digest, but emblems make on consumers' buying decisions. And we've done this, every 3 years. We've done 3 times now. And what we found, 92% of the consumers that were surveyed, they said they're more likely to buy a product or service that has a winning emblem. And Reader's Digest, we weren't up there at 92%, but we were at something like 83% in the last survey. 83% of the people that were surveyed said the Reader's Digest winning Trustmark emblem made a positive impact on their buying decisions because they knew it was voted by the people of their country.
Here. Yes, so how do consumers' perceptions of a brand's trustworthiness differ across generations or demographics?
Well, it's a really difficult one for me to answer, because demographics, I can tell you now from the results in all the countries I look after, definitely women are much more trustworthy and their scores are always higher than the scores of gentlemen. So you always score things lower. And it's different for different categories. So for example, men always score higher when it comes to things like finance and banking. And there's certain categories, that always tend to have lower trust scores. And despite the demographic, things like vitamins, when we used to do personalities, one of the lowest ranking was journalists, funnily enough. But don't tell anyone that. But we don't do that anymore.
I see. Thank you.
What challenges has Reader's Digest faced in maintaining the integrity of the Trusted Brand Award program over the years?
I don't think we really have. I think I've answered that already. We don't have a problem with its credibility. We haven't had, because we're using the same methodology that we have done for years with the 6 pillars, and because it's an independent survey, and because it's voted by the people of your country. That's why the credibility is. As I say, all we do is we pay.
That's why we're celebrating our 25th year.
Yeah, because we lasted this long.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, I was here the previous year, both of us. Congratulations
hello
on
again.
your 25th year.
Thank you.
What role does the Trusted Brand Award program play in Reader's Digest overall brand strategy?
It does. It plays a big part in the brand strategy of Reader's Digest, not only in the countries that I look after 7, so that's, Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong, Taiwan, the Philippines, Australia, New Zealand, but also in other countries across the world. The Reader's Digest is still going strong, in 41 countries, so they all still do trusted brands as well, and it's a big, important part of helping the magazine, across.
From year 1 to year 25, aside from the brands, what were the things that you've changed to make it better and
Well, on year 1 when it started, there were only 11 categories. In year 25 we are now, I think there's over 50 categories in this country. In some other countries there's more, there's even some 60. So we've changed, we've added how many categories they are. And we've also actually changed, it's become a lot more sophisticated. So years ago when it first started, it was a pull-out questionnaire that only the readers did. So it was only the Reader's Digest readers that filled out a questionnaire, and it was inbound in the book. It's become a lot more sophisticated now. It is done all online. It's done through Catalyst, who survey some 8,000 people in Asia. So, and now it's much more a reflection of the footprint of the country rather than just Reader's Digest readers.
were there categories that were dissolved or added from the previous year? Because I've noticed there were certain brands that were awardees last event that are not here now.
Right, so such as what categories? I don't think we've taken any categories out.
Logistics, you had best logistics last year, and what else?
Like alcohol?
Yeah.
Because it's not relevant anymore.
Okay.
We still maintain face masks because COVID is not yet over. But yeah, we removed some, like for example, disinfectant spray.
Yeah.
We removed it already. But of course, we inject new categories which are very relevant.
There were, I think, pawn shops prior.
I don't think we
Chinese
had
brand. It was Chinese.
I don't think we had them.
There was a Chinese category. Anyway, I remember there's one brand that wasn't here anymore. Logistics, meron GMT.
Because companies are always asking us to be part of trusted brands. So if we're adding additional categories, we sometimes have to take other categories out. But we still try to keep in a lot of categories that are relevant, even though people don't participate, because we want to keep continuity in trusted brands across all countries.
So who decides about the categories? You have a body, and do you ask your readers which categories do you want to add, or which categories, or you just decide, "Oh, this one's not no longer
The
advisable"?
board of our management team, and then I would speak to all my teams in all my different countries to see which they think is most relevant for their countries. So, for example, if you look at the Philippines, and if you look at Malaysia, so cooking oil, rice, noodles are very relevant, you know, and because they're staples to everyone's cooking. And of course, we wouldn't have them. We don't have them in Australia. We certainly don't have them in New Zealand. So it's what's relevant to each country.
Other categories that a brand would qualify on a regional scope, or probably multiple.
Yeah,
There
there
are.
are. That's why we try to keep consistency in at least 75% of the categories across all of the countries. So if you win in over three countries, you are applicable for an Asia Pacific award.
So would you mention a particular brand or category that has been in the
Off the top of
region?
my head, I know this year, I mean, this is the first event I'm doing this year, but I do know that probably tea, one of the categories would be tea, where the same brand has won in various countries. Maybe Panasonic.
Panasonic
as well.
as an appliance.
Appliances wins across many of our countries.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
How was the Trusted Brand Program Award evolved over the years since introduced by Reader's Digest?
How was it involved?
Yeah.
Well, as I said, it's evolved from it used to be sort of 11 categories. It used to be inbound in the book, and it was just for our readers. Now, in this country, we've over 50 categories, and it's, you know, our readers still can vote as well. I should add that. Our readers still can vote, and they can still go online and vote, but added to that, which is much bigger, we surveyed 8,000 people, and it's post-weighted to the population of each country, so it represents a footprint of the country. So that's how much changed. It's become a bit more sophisticated than it used to be. And of course, many, many years ago, when we first started doing it, you know, we did telephone calls, you know, we did face-to-face interviews in countries, we did door knocking. We simply couldn't maintain that in this day and age. Yes.
How has Reader's Digest played its position as a trusted and respected source of information, particularly in an age of online misinformation and fake news?
And particularly what, sorry?
Particularly in an age of online misinformation and fake news.
Fake news. Well, we would pride ourselves, you know, not having any fake news. Because the first thing about Reader's Digest is our journalists. You know, they're all very highly educated, university degrees, and are very predictive about the stories that we carry. But one thing that we have always done, even so I've been in the company for 15 years, is we fact check everything. Even if we're taking an extract out of a book, we have people that fact check it. So we pride ourselves on the credibility of absolutely every story that we run. So everything's double or triple checked. So, and we even have standards, not just for editorial, but for advertising as well. You know, there's certain categories that we won't carry, so we have standards that we've always abided by.
Any more questions?
Yes.
Sharon, and we've been doing trusted brands with Reader's Digest within years. Now that we're back from the pandemic, and it's still standing, the award is still standing. What is the significance of these awards to what Reader's Digest is currently, especially now that the print media, the print landscape is kind of shaky given the popularity of other media?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Well, that's sort of two questions there. I think in answering about the pandemic and how has that affected trusted brands, I think since the pandemic, everyone is much more careful about where they're spending their money. So I think that's where the relevance of trusted brands in all the countries are coming in. I mean, that even only happened to myself. You know, I went out recently to buy a fridge. When I went to buy the fridge, you know, we're in the shop. There was, you know, they both have the same features. They're both around the same price. My son wanted one of those fridges that you knock on the door and you can see what's in there. Would we have it? I wasn't sure. So in the shop, we Googled, and I actually found out, because I can't even remember all my countries, that it was one of our trusted brands, Australia. So I thought, all right, we'll buy it. So people are being careful since the pandemic, and the economic climate across the world at the moment with inflation is really difficult. So that's the thing. The trusted brands does help with the purchasing, you know, decisions. But your second question about magazines and how relevant it is, it will be no secret across every country that, you know, magazines and newspapers and press, you'll know, is like a sunset industry, you know, because everyone's going on the internet, online to get their news. That's why when you get your magazine, you can also get an online version of it. And we've had to make costs and changes as well in the magazine. As you'll all know, you know, print increases are huge. You know, we've had increases of nearly 30% on our print due to even electricity costs, which make printing more expensive and paper, and even the distribution has been very difficult for us as well. So over the years we've had to change, and that does mean if you look at the quality of the paper, Reader's Digest used to be a glossy magazine, you know, quite heavy GSM in every page. When I started, I can't remember what it was like a 70 GSM, and the front cover was like a 210 GSM. I think you'll now find when you look at your Reader's Digest that you have today, it's about 54 GSM. It reminds me of the newspapers.
It used to be thick and glossy.
It used to be thick and glossy. We make a loss if we're doing that. So it's 54 GSM. The way I see it as well is, you know, at least there's no glare and it's easier to read. So, but yeah, we've had to change with the times. Yeah. Any more questions? I think that's it. All right. Well, thank you everyone for your time. I really appreciate you all coming to join us this evening. It's really special for us because it's our 25th anniversary. And as I say, you're the first ones off the ranks. You know, next week I think the next one's Australia, then off to Singapore. So thank you. I hope you enjoy this evening. Enjoy your food. If you get through there, we'll get started and get the food serving, and then start making it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.